Greetings, traveler. It's good to see you getting your stride back, covering ground. But your haste only brings you closer to the realm of nightmares. What? Sorry, 1 second. They closed it. The whole realm? Why? New management, does that mean the pit of despair is gone too? Sorry, carry on, traveler. This doesn't really concern you. So is Gary out then?
It's Dead Reckoning, Season 2, Episode 3. Tonight, we discuss our childhood, which our mother planned to cut tragically short.
Join us.
So I've been watching a new sort of, I think it's like a one-off film, like a TV movie called The Radleys. But we watched it the other day just to see what it was about. It's got Damian Lewis as like twin brothers. Damian Lewis from like Billions and Band of Brothers and that, and Kelly MacDonald is his wife. And like the daughter gets attacked by this guy and like coming home from a party, and then she just like suddenly like rips his throat out and grows like vampire fangs, and then like the parents go to like meet her to see what's up, and then the dad's just like, oh yeah, by the way, you're a vampire.
Well, she didn't know before that. That was just a reaction.
That's the whole point. And like the dad disposes of the body, and then I'm not trying to give too much spoilers away. This is pretty much all in the trailer. So anything that I'm going to say, I'm trying to keep it to the trailer. But like the dad like disposes of the body, and then they like sit down with the kids and they go, "Kids, we've got something to tell you. We're all vampires. Mum and me, we're both in recovery." And he has these pamphlets, and he like gives them out to him, and he goes, "There's a lot in these little pamphlets that tell you about how to like stave off the cravings." And he like gives them out to him. He goes, "There's even a website. There was an app which has like breathing exercises, but they haven't updated it in ages." And he's just like telling about it. He goes, "Well, we're not really too good at this, so we're gonna have to call in like his brother." So it's obviously Damian Lewis, but it's Damian Lewis in like a long wig, and he's like a cool guy who lives in a camper van who actually like gives into his vampire cravings and that. But it's all about like the two kids sort of fighting off their urge to be like vampires. Now like the whole family is just like, "Oh no, this is horrible." And, like the mum, you don't see the mum be a vampire, but she's just like stressed the entire time, just like going around the house cleaning, like, "Oh, can't believe this is happening again." And like Damian Lewis, the dad character, not like his twin brother, he's like a cool and sort of relaxed dude. He's like, "Yeah, you can be a vampire if you want. It's pretty cool. You get to mind control people and shit." That's pretty much a verbatim quote, by the way. He literally just lives in like a stodgy camper van, like playing guitar in the driveway. Like call him in to like teach the kids how to be vampires and help them get rid of bodies and stuff. But the Damian Lewis's dad character, Peter Radley, he's also the local GP, and he's just like dipping into blood samples, just like on his like lunch break. He's just there with like vials of blood, just like, "Oh fucking hell!" And when the teeth come out, he's just like he starts like shaking, and like his teeth come out, and he's like, "Yeah." But yeah, it's kind of like a coming of age type thing with the two kids as well, but I think it's only supposed to come out on Sky on the 18th of October, so I've already seen it, but it's going to be on Sky and sort of Now TV around about the 18th of October, so I certainly want to see. It kind of leaves it sort of, without giving again too much of a spoiler, it kind of leaves it open-ended, so it is sort of the thing that would lead itself to being a bit more of a sort of a TV series as well, because there's a whole thing about like a retired policeman like trying to hunt down vampires and stuff. So that's certainly something to look at. Again, that's The Radleys, which is should be on Sky Cinema on the 18th of October.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Also, me and Laura have been absolutely fixated with this new series that's just come out on again Sky and also Now TV and Stars in the UK, which is called Sweet Pea. This stars Ella Purnell, from Yellow Jackets and the new Fallout series. And she's basically like a wallflower, a girl who's just like was bullied in school. And like after her dad dies, she, like snaps, and it's literally like I would call it like a millennial female version of falling down. And she like literally has she's literally pushed just like one bit too far, and she just becomes like a absolutely manic, crazy serial killer. But like because everyone knows her as like this meek sort of wallflower girl, she just like completely breezes past everyone's radar. She's just like shuffling along in the background, like the least you'd suspect. But it's absolutely brilliant. Came out on the 10th of October. We've just literally ploughed through about 5 of the 6 episodes that have come out. But it's based on a series of books as well, so it's hopefully it won't just be a mini series, depending on how they decide to end it. But it's certainly something to check out. It's just really dark, and the violence in it just comes out of nowhere. And she's obviously like a tiny, like a little wee woman, and it's just like she just snaps. She like the whole day just goes to like shit. This is just the first episode, where like a dad dies, and she's like a like school bully, like is selling her house, and she's at her dad's funeral, and she's just like, oh yeah, did you know him? He's like, yeah, well, it's my dad. She like goes to confront her in some club, and then she's like, oh, just like embarrasses her again. And then when she decides to like walk home by the side of a canal, this guy just starts pissing on her. He doesn't see her like sat down by the side of the river. It just starts pissing on her, and she just like turns around, and she's just like, it's just like deep. It's in the end. It's like in Falling Down when he goes nuts over the little fly in the car. She just literally just like, you can see like her whole mind just fracture. She just like repeatedly stabs this fella. She's just literally had a piss on her. And he goes, I can take all the bullying and like being downtrodden in my job, and me dad dying, and me school bully selling me house, but someone pissing on me outside of a canal is just far. That's a bridge too far. That like, but yeah.
What's it on?
It's on Sky. It's on Sky, and it's on Now TV as well. So you'd probably be able to get that in Australia probably, but it's also on Stars, and it's also all over the internet. Ella Purnell is on an absolute run at the moment. She's in the Fallout series, Yellow Jackets, and she does one of the voices on Star Trek Prodigy. So she's literally storming the gates at the moment, and this is probably her best role because she's literally front and center for the whole thing. I mean, Fallout has little side characters in her like story. I mean, Walton Goggins probably stole the show in Fallout, just like off the side, because Walton Goggins is an absolute legend. But this definitely puts her front and center, and it's one of them ones where you kind of like empathize with her, but then it's just like you just literally just like stab some guy repeatedly at the side of a river. And at one point, she has someone tied up in the basement. It's just like, fuck, this is probably going a bit too far. It's like, I don't know if I can sympathize with somebody who's literally keeping the school bully in the basement. I've got empathy, but I've also got me limits. But yeah, that probably that brings me to the end of my week in horror, which is Sweet Pea and the Radleys, which are two things that have just come out on Sky, which are definitely ones to watch. Well, the Radleys is coming out in a few weeks, but by the time you listen to this, it'll be out, so give it a watch.
Kirsty?
Well, I've been reading a lot of books recently, and they were all Stephen King books. Yeah, I know. I've rediscovered books in the library because they're free. But you can only obviously, like, they don't have every single book, so I'm just like, whatever comes back in, I'm getting it. But I was reading a lot of Stephen King, and then I thought, I'll have a break from Stephen King because he's not the only horror novelist. So,
sorry, weren't you right? Didn't you get his book on writing, and you were writing a book?
Yeah, how long do you think that lasted? I was writing, but I was writing bits of it, and then I just sort of like didn't for a bit, and then that's all it takes to break the habit, isn't it? It's just like I've forgotten to do that, and now every time I look at it, I go like, no. I thought I'll have a break from Stephen King, and I'll read Heart-Shaped Box by his son. It's just I did a sideways move. And I read Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. And it's good. I'll tell you one. Not that I want to try and give Stephen King writing advice. But they both definitely need to like work out a better reason for people to not just call the police, because so many things happen, and I've just in the middle of his book of short stories for is it 4 Past Midnight, and I've read 2 of the stories so far. I'm on the 3rd one now out of 4, but so I'll speak about that in weeks to come. But there's a story in there where it's just like, just call the fucking police. And it's like, oh, I can't do that. I want to deal with this myself. Why? Why do you want to do it? You're not... They both need... And it's kind of a little bit like that in Heart-Shaped Box when this weird thing happened. Basically, he's an aging... like, there's quite a lot of good rock star stuff in it. Like, he's called Judas Coin. And he's like in a metal band. He's obviously meant to be something like Iron Maiden or something like that. And he's like at the end of his career and stuff. And he collects weird shit. So he's got a witch's like written confession from the 1600s, and he's got a snuff film. He's got all these weird things that he collects. And he finds someone selling a ghost on the internet, which is the beginning of a great. It's the beginning of a great comedy horror novel, but it's not funny. It's like really scary. And so he buys it and then realizes it's all a bit of a scam. It's a cursed item that he's bought that someone's trying to get to him because they're trying to get revenge on him, basically. And he falls for it. He buys the thing, and now he's got this cursed suit in his house, which like contains the spirit of this evil man, and he's kind of like showing up as a ghost.
A cursed suit.
Yes, yeah, so
does he have to wear the suit, or for the ghost to?
No, the suit just the heart-shaped box is the box the suit comes in that's delivered to him, and they've basically the person who's died, whose ghost is attached to this suit. If the suit's in the house, it'll be in the house basically. So it keeps this thing in a box, and then the ghost shows up. And it is scary. Like there's lots of scary bits in it. There's just a few bits though where you kind of have to suspend your disbelief and just go, yeah, okay, maybe he doesn't need to call the police, although he definitely does. You know, and there's all this shit going on, and you're like, this could have just been solved by calling the police non-emergency number and making some sort of like report. But
not about a ghost in a cursed suit.
No, it's just like so the person he buys it from is this absolute crank whose daughter was one of his groupies. So they're trying to get back at him. They're trying to get back at him for what they perceive he did to the daughter by sending this cursed item. But like the person who sent it is nuts and like making all these weird threats, and it's like, just you need to like call the police. What are they going to do? Get there? And she's like, oh no, I think you need to understand that I've sent him a ghost. And they'd be like, all right, we'll lock you up. We will lock you up.
That's a perfectly good response to something I've sent him a ghost.
So they'll lock her up, they'll section her, right? They'll section her. And then at least that's one person kind of out of the equation to deal with, do you know what I mean? Like, you're in a mental institution, I don't have to deal with you anymore. Maybe I still have to deal with the ghost, but I don't have to deal with you. So, but he doesn't do any of this stuff, and so like when it all kind of unravels, and he just makes really bad decisions. But then I suppose he is meant to be an aging like rock star who's done super amounts of drugs and stuff. So, but yeah, him and yeah, there's another story in the short stories collection of Stephen King where literally all the way through I'm going, just phone the police, and every single person in the story is going, have you called the police? And he's like, no, just repeatedly, like, I'm not calling. Why not? There's no good reason for it. It's like, I'm a writer, I need to deal with this myself. No, you don't. You're a writer. You can't. and it makes me worry for the sort of like, if anything happens to Stephen King again, where someone like, I don't know, someone tries to attack him and he's like, I'm going to deal with this myself. I'm a writer after all. It's like, yeah, you're not trained in law enforcement, Stephen.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
He's just waiting for someone to actually call the police, and it's like Alan Pangborn from like a Lethal Thing from Bag of Bone.
Well, yeah, he's got like loads of characters in his books who are police officers, and it's like, yeah, how about? And then she called the police. I was like, oh, she did. Oh, that's interesting. Now you want to call the police. Now he's your main character, and it's handy. Normally, you hate the fucking police. What have you got against the police? So yeah,
let's put it to Stephen King. What have you got
against the police, you lunatic? So yeah, I've been reading that, and I've got a couple of Stephen Kings on the go. I've been reading more of short stories because, I read a few over the summer, like full novels, and now I'm trying to do some short stories. But I don't know, I'm finding the short stories, some of them quite tough to get through. Like they're not as gripping as a full length novel because they've got one thing to do and then it kind of runs out. But yeah, talk about that in the future when I've read them. And the other thing I watched this week, I watched Threads again because it's the 40th anniversary of Threads coming out. And so I watched that again. But also I was thinking there's an even worse version of Threads called The War Game, it's still banned. Like you still can't show it. Outside of a learning environment, so the only place you can watch it is
your house.
Is my house. Yeah. there's a nuclear bunker in Cheshire where you can go and visit it, and it's got like stuff. We decided, me and my cousin James does not listen to the podcast because he doesn't really like horror, but I'm glad he doesn't because now I'm going to sell him down the river. It was his idea to take our elderly granddad to the nuclear bunker, right? It was his idea. And we took him because they have all like these displays of like life in the 50s and the 40s and 30s and stuff because it's like a war thing, right? And I thought,
they probably don't want to remember that.
Well, we found this out, so we took
relive the horrors of your past.
Yeah, we took,
was it his birthday as well?
Yeah, we well, on the leaflet we got that we were all out for a meal, and there was like a leaf. You know, yeah, some of these pubs have just like loads of leaflets of local attractions and stuff. And there was one that was like, the only difference from a genuine nuclear bunker is the lack of a long lingering death. I was like, what a review. We should take Grandad to this, and we took him, and he wasn't able to. He was like, he was elderly, but he's in his 80s at this point, so he was all right, sort of going in and stuff. But there was a point at which he got a bit tired and he needed to sit down, and we were like, "Yeah, you can sit in this screening room and just have a seat." And they were screening The War Game.
Oh God!
And if you think Threads is bad, The War Game is 10 times worse than Threads. Because it seems so much more real. It's like it is a drama, but it's like a documentary drama, and you forget it's not a because it's quite even like the acting isn't great. They seem just like normal people, so they seem like normal people being interviewed and normal people doing stuff. And there is a scene where there's like absolutely no medicine like left. There's like a lot of sickness. There's been a nuclear, but there's a lot of sickness. There's no medicine left, and the police are literally going around just if they see someone in the street who looks like really ill and just shooting him in the head. And that's the part that we sat my granddad down to watch. And so we sort of left him in there. He's like, "I'll be all right in here." And then we came back for him like 20 minutes later, and he was like, "Yeah, I think I'm ready to go home now." and then he had nightmares for about a month. So traumatized our own grandfather with this film. But Threads is scary, and Threads is like, it's just really horrible, and you sort of see it seems just genuinely realistic. And now we've had COVID as well. Watching Threads after going through COVID is like, yeah, okay. We know exactly the kind of shit that was going down, and it is they probably watched Threads on the night that they realised we were having to go into lockdown. It's like, give that a watch. That just make policy off the back of Threads, and then But so Threads is definitely you should watch it. It is scary. It's quite long though. It's like 2 hours 40, something like that. It's not it's not long for a film, but it's long for a documentary subject film. Do you know what I mean? It's like a fake documentary. It seems long when you're watching it, and it is really scary. But then if you can manage to get somewhere and screen and see The War Game, it's probably online somewhere. But I think it's probably on YouTube. To be fair, I've not found it on YouTube. It might be, but I've never found it on YouTube. It's like they really restricted it because they broadcast it once. Everyone went nuts, and they were like, right, never again. And then they just kind of like archived it. And never let anyone watch it again, and then it's just like they screen it in this nuclear bunker. So you could also just go there and watch it. The worst part of Threads isn't like the nuclear attack. It's all like the bits where it jumps ahead in time,
and it's got like a woman with like a deformed baby, and like everyone's like a mutant in about 30 years time. Just so like a dot matrix computer comes up and goes 30 years after outbreak, just like a woman giving birth to a deformed baby on top of some bins. It's like
yeah, and like the last bit where a baby kind of grows up, like the daughter that she. So like so there's the main character, the woman, isn't there? And she's pregnant when the attack happens. So she brings her baby up in this kind of environment. But then the kid can't speak properly because there's no schools. It's just like and she doesn't teach. So there's nothing to like. There's no books. There's no stuff. You know what I mean? All the stuff is gone. So the kid can't speak properly, and then the kid herself has a baby right at the end, and that's when she shows her the baby, she screams, and it's like that's the end of the film, innit? But like, yeah, I do like. I like the other thing I was remembering that I've got on DVD downstairs is the I've got all of those nuclear war sort of information programs, like the little 5-minute information programs that they prepared. And I've got them downstairs, and I've also got When the Wind Blows, the Raymond Briggs one about. Yeah,
I love that. I was going to mention that. I've literally got the Wikipedia up in front of me at the moment.
That's really horrific because there's these two people obeying government advice, which is clearly nonsense. And when you watch it after COVID as well, and it's like, take your masks off, go out and eat lunch, and we'll give you some money off it. And you're like, this was a terrible idea. And it's like the original plan was basically just like, oh, let all the old people die off. Like, I mean, it'll solve our pensions problem coming up in the future, and just let the disease run rampant so we can get like immunity to it, and we'll just sacrifice a whole generation of our fellas. And that was the original plan. And it's like, you can imagine like seeing these old people in When the Wind Blows. And it's like, you can paint your windows white, and that will deflect the blast away from your home. And it's like,
it's like the old duck and cover.
Yeah.
Even a newspaper can shield you from harmful burns.
They have it in Friends as well, where like the government advice was to prop a wardrobe up against the staircase, or like a mattress, like pop a mattress up against the staircase, and then get behind the mattress to withstand like thousands of degrees of nuclear fire.
I remember reading an interview with the guy who like came up for all that in the Department for Information, but I don't know where to find it now, because this was probably like 2000 and early 2000s. I read it, but he was basically saying, that's in order to stop people panicking, you give them meaningless, lengthy instructions, and it's like, you need to do all this stuff, and it keeps them busy while you work out what's really gonna help, which is nothing. You can't put out an information film going, if there is a nuclear blast, everyone will be dead. The end. You can't put that, because that's the reason like Mum was going to murder us, Paul. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember.
That was a fun thing to hear from your mum. Old nostalgia. Oh, that reminds me of those films. I was going to kill us all with paracetamol.
No wonder we're both
odd.
We're both weirdos. No wonder we're both horror aficionados, and we have this podcast and the amount of the Exorcist thing, and then this. Oh,
you were baptized by the Exorcist.
It was our life.
Okay.
Mum came disturbingly close to killing us.
Mass fucking suicide pact.
Oh.
Thanks, Mum. Thanks for that memory.
Tell the full story, Kirst.
Tell the full story. Well, it's not very much to it, other than that we were watching like these public information programs. And we were having a little chat about it. She went, yeah, I remember all that. So yeah, my plan, if they dropped the bomb, was just to. She said I started stockpiling a load of paracetamol, and I was like, oh fuck, where's this going?
It was a Cold War, wasn't it?
It was like in the 1980s, so like the 82. So she was like, my plan was to grind all that up and put it in hot chocolate and make you two drink it. I was like, to kill you. I was like, okay. She was like, because I'd heard that was like quite a peaceful. I said, it's not, I said a paracetamol overdose is not a nice peaceful way to go. It literally like rots your insides until you die. It's like you die of internal bleeding. That's what. And she was like, well, I didn't know that then. I just thought that was the best way to do it. And then she said, I forgot this dynamite line. She was like, we didn't have the internet back then.
It's not my fault.
We had to guess.
What do you expect?
We had to guess what would be the best way to murder your children. We didn't have all these guides like you've got now. There's probably an app for that, isn't there? Well, there wasn't back then.
She'd just be there watching telly, and now a special announcement from President Ronald Reagan. She's like, "Where's my pestle and mortar?"
Who wants a hot chocolate?
Keith, where's that toffee hammer? I knew we'd need it one day. We kept it around for a reason.
Needless to say, it probably would have been better if they just bludgeoned us to death with a toffee hammer. Needless to say, we didn't drink much hot chocolate in the household from then on.
I'm not even messing. Like the next day, she was like, "Do you want a hot chocolate?" I was like, "Not now, Roz. No, I don't."
And the thing I remember her saying that triggered this was that they were apparently taking deliveries of, masses of body bags, huge, big shipments of body bags, because they were expecting something to happen. That's what kind of spurred her on to murder us.
Well, that wasn't like widely broadcast, but Runcorn was one of the places where they were storing all that stuff because the Heath Business Park is now, there used to be a bunker under there, and it's like not far from, and it doesn't appear on maps. It just looks like a field. If you go way back, like on all the sort of like maps, it just appears as a field, but there was actually a government bunker under it which had like body bags and sort of ID cards for filling in for people, and it had like a database database of every citizen, and you could just like attach that card to that person or something when they're dead. So just like remember who they were for when you'd have the mass burials. But like she'd seen all that going on, and then like obviously word gets around because it's secret to some extent, but then there's some fella with a bunch of keys who has to open up the bunker. Probably called Jeff, probably drinks in the Lion, and he's like, ever guess what I had to do today? And then suddenly it's all over town, you know what I mean?
Oh, it's dockers. It's Liverpool dockers. They won't be able to keep their mouths shut, would they?
No, they tell everyone what was going on. Like, big lorry shit. What's all them massive lorries? It's like, well, I was driving one of them lorries. I can tell you what's in it because we have to be told what's in it by law. It's body bags, and it's like, oh no, like it's it's too difficult to keep stuff like that secret, and it's just you can't. So everyone round here of a certain age knows that it never appeared on any wartime maps, and there was always plans like going way back to the First World War of like, right, we need to have underground bunkers and we need to keep them off all the maps, like, do you know what I mean? So and that's what happened.
Oh, there's heaps of underground places like that.
Yeah, there's one on Helsby Hill as well.
There's actually a guy I used to work with was telling me a story one night, and this is a guy who he doesn't just make up garbage. They were looking for workers for one of these facilities, and they were basically, it's kind of like, in the war where they would take anyone. They were looking for just big men, basically, and I think it was his father-in-law was a butcher. He was a big fella, he was a butcher, carrying sides of beef around and what have you. And they just needed security guards, just bodies to be in there who couldn't get, knocked over and pushed out of the way. And it was this facility for crazy people they just can't do anything with. One story he heard was there was a guy in there who just flipped one day, just his brain broke. And he, for want of a better expression, just came home and ate his kids. Like those sorts of people are in these places. And that was I'm sure it was Sheffield or somewhere like that. And it's just underneath a forest and no one knows it's there. There are a lot of them. It's scary.
Yeah, because someone escaped from there and they just never did anything about it. Because they were like, it was one of the only places that...
does it have to admit that it's there, or...?
They had to, because they'd have to admit, for A, that it's there, and B, that it's escapable. Because it was like literally the only place you could put these people, and and it was like it was someone who worked there. It was like I can't remember how I found this out. It might have been someone who called into. I feel like it was someone who called into Danny Baker's old radio show when he used to say like, "What was your worst day at work?" And this guy phoned up and
Danny
he said,
Baker's light-hearted
It was,
breakfast
like-
comedy show.
yeah, he would always do this. And then people would ring up, and someone rung up and was like, someone rung up and I was like, it's not me, it's me mate. But he was working at this facility. It was his last day, and he was literally about to walk out and go to the pub, and he just noticed that he looked into the cell, and there was no one there, and he was like, well, I'm not going in, because in order to go in, they had to have 3 people with them, and it was all like a big, protocol, because people would literally manage to sort of cram themselves up into a corner of the room and then jump on you as you walked in. Like they were dangerous lunatics. So and he was like, and as I was walking, he said I did go out and look if there was anybody else there. He said, but there wasn't. So I just clocked out and went to the pub. And he's like, I still don't think that guy was in there.
This is exactly how every Halloween movie starts.
The guy is like, listen, it's my last day. I'm not doing overtime on my last day. It is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm sure it'll all be fine.
It's like, Michael escapes every year. We're used to it. He'll be back on the 1st of November. He's got nowhere else to go.
He always comes back on the 1st of November. Just do his laundry, and then we say, right, no escaping next year.
What have you got all over your boiler suit this time? Fucking hell.
That's why we have the boiler suits that are dark blue. Do you remember when we used to have the white ones? It was a nightmare. That's why we changed them. Because of people like you, Michael.
Go and do your pencil drawings. Fucking hell. It's happened again.
Is that it for your week in horror? That trip to hell you just took us
Yeah.
on?
You're welcome.
Far out. Whew. Mine's going to seem quite trivial in comparison. So I'll start with a classic Finnism. He's a goldmine, this kid. And then I'll move on to some movies I watched. So we were eating dinner. I was making them dinner, and it was just scrambled eggs on toast, nothing fancy. And he said he's finished and he wants dessert. And Finn has dessert with every meal. He thinks it's just something that he just gets all the time.
Good.
No question. He even asked for breakfast dessert and lunch dessert.
Yes, Finn.
there's no such
breakfast
thing.
dessert.
I'm all about breakfast dessert now.
That's it. That's the rest of my life. I am having dessert for every meal. At the end of every meal, I need me breakfast dessert. Hang on.
I've just got a scoop of ice cream and my cereal.
Was it Michael Winner who started this thing with the he demanded for it to have his dessert first in a restaurant? He said, I want to have my pudding first.
Sounds about right.
And now it's like a thing you can do. But I think, so because he does that as well, like Kath lets him do that. But I think because it had taken so long for the food, maybe for the food to cool down or something before he could eat it, and it was like, oh, I'm so hungry. Then Kath's like, oh, you can have a back to front dinner, and she has his dessert first. Anyway, he said he finished, and I was like, okay, well, bring your plate up. And let me just, it manners, but also I want to check, have you actually eaten it all? And he brings it up, and he's got like one piece of toast, one soldier left. And I'm like, can you just eat that one piece of toast? Because then you've eaten all of your dinner, and I can give you dessert. And he's like, no, I can't. That piece of toast is haunted. And it's such a good excuse. I've got nothing to say. I'm just like, yeah. Okay, that's fine. And I give him his dessert. And I go around, and Melody, who generally doesn't eat dinner because we find out she's had like 2 or 3 servings of lunch and all kinds of stuff at her daycare. And she's not eating anything. And I'm like, Melody, eat your dinner. And she looks at me and she goes, can't, haunted. And I can't say anything because I've let him use that excuse now. He set precedence. Oh. So I've got to concede that both of their eggs on toast is haunted. Oh, so that's a new thing.
I think we're settled that this episode title is called That Piece of Toast is Haunted.
I also watched Trap.
Oh yeah, so did I. So did I. Yeah.
Oh, so good. It is so good. So I'm not going to give too much away because it's a new movie, but it's an absolutely fantastic movie. Josh Hartnett's amazing in it. I had one issue with it. There's obviously all these twists and turns as you'd expect from one of his movies. But I had one issue with the story in general. I feel that if you wanted to catch a serial killer, your moment to strike should not be when he's trapped in a building with thousands of other people. That seems a little bit risky to me. And as you'd expect, there's a bit of carnage. That's a trapped rat desperately trying to escape through any means possible. Oh. And it's like a I don't know, Taylor Swifty, Lady Gaga sort of concert. It's full of kids, jam-packed full of kids. And when you watch it right to the end, it's even worse when you see what actually happens and what the plan and all that sort of stuff what transpires.
Yeah.
Oh God, why did you do that?
A lot of police officers were like, "What? We're watching that, going, there is absolutely no way this plan would have passed an impact assessment." It's like,
No.
what's the potential impact? 25,000 deaths. Ooh, that's high.
Exactly. Must have been like 100,000 people. Wait till he leaves or get him before he goes. Anyway.
Also, if you've got a super secret FBI info scheme to trap a serial killer, maybe don't also inform this super plan to that random dude who sells T-shirts.
Every single member of staff, all the back of house people. How can you trust those people?
They do not need to have that information at all. It's not necessary. It's like, what are all these police doing here? And they just have to go, there's a bit of a heightened security threat. And they go, all right, whatever, I'm earning £10 an hour selling T-shirts, like whatever. I don't need to know.
And also, it turns out that they all attended some planning, like, training event prior to the show as well. So they were out in the wild with this information for weeks before the show. Yeah. While this guy's prowling around.
I simply would not go into work. If my job was T-shirt seller, I would ring in sick that day. It's like, because this notorious serial killer we know he's going to be there. It's like, well, then I am going to be elsewhere. Like, in my house, who doesn't have a serial killer in it.
Oh, I'm actually, I'm resigning. I took another job. Oh, yeah, where? It's anywhere.
Anywhere that doesn't have a serial killer in it. Yeah, but if this was Stephen King novel, the guy would turn around and go, listen, with this guy, nowhere is safe.
I'm going to take care of this myself.
He could come into your McDonald's. He could come into your B&M bargains. You don't know. This is why we're trying to catch him.
Could be inside one of those T-shirt boxes, folded up, waiting to bounce.
I could be the killer.
The moral of the story is never take your kids to large events.
Don't ever leave the house.
That's a great excuse. If Finn's going to use horror against you, you can use horror against Finn. So he's like, I want to go and see this concert, Dad, and you have to go with me. He's like, after seeing the movie Trap, are you insane? We're never going to a large concert, Finn. Never, ever.
That reminds me of comedy gold that is the Viz Top Tips book. And one of them was, don't open the door, could be burglars. And the other movie I watched, it's an older movie. It's one of those that you can't find anywhere. And I know I'm in Australia, so that may have something to do with it. But it's one of those, you want to watch those movies from like the 2000s or like an older movie and it's just not on any streaming service or anything. And it's called Backcountry, and no spoilers, it's about a bear. And it's about this couple who go hiking. He's going to propose to her. And he's taken her to this special place that he remembers from his childhood, his past, basically. But when they get up there, the ranger's like, oh, no, that's all. We have to close all that off. Don't let us catch you up there. It's a big fine. It's all closed off. No one's going up there. How are they going to... Anyway. But they go anyway. And he finally admits at some point that, okay, this is not right. I'm lost. And she's like, well, when did you last know where we were, and it turns out like days ago. It's like when we first turned onto the trail. And she's on a phone all the time on Instagram, posting, going nuts. He took her phone out of her bag without her knowing about it because he wanted to like experience this and everything. So they don't have a phone. They're trapped in the wilderness. They're on a part of the trail that no one's going to go to because it's closed. And unfortunately, there is a rogue bear, and there's little like clues that there's a bear there all the way. And anyway, they get attacked by a bear.
Naturally.
And it's absolutely gruesome, very graphic. And, you know, if people who want to watch a horror movie, they're like, oh, I want to watch like a proper creature feature with a monster in it or something. Well, bear, because a bear is a monster. It's an unstoppable killing machine. And in this movie, it is terrifying. I love this movie because it's one of this where, you know, the woman in the movie is the hero, and like the guys are just morons, and they're just like, you know, boldly plowing into the wilderness, and they don't know what they're doing, and she ends up, you know, escaping the bear and making it out. But there's this weird bit in it where he goes into the tent to get something, and he hears talking, and he comes out because they're in the middle of nowhere, and she's talking to this guy, and he's this Irish guy, and he's really creepy and weird, and he claims to be a guide, and you know, he's a nice guy, and you know, whatever, but quite like aggressive and confrontational and weird with the boyfriend. Like, he's really odd. And then at the end of the film, he's like, when she like falls onto this shore of this lake, he's there and he turns around and he's like leading a group, and he is, as he said, actually a tour guide and a nice guy, and he helps people, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, hang on, why was he so horrible then? It's one of those things where it's like, you see, he wasn't that little twit. It's not he was horrible. I would have probably tried to kill him. It's me or him at that point. Yeah. Bizarre.
I can never watch something about bears without remembering that bit in that documentary, Grizzly Man, where they lead it up to the end, where they go on about like the fact that they were like killed by a bunch of bears, but you don't see the video, and all you see is Werner Herzog like in a room with a pair of headphones on, and they have like the recording from the camera, and just Werner Herzog like slowly becoming more worried, and he takes the headphones off, goes, "That sounds terribly awful. That should never be listened to."
So we were going to move on to Jed's new segment, Childhood Nightmares.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, I've kind of used mine up.
Yeah. I had childhood nightmares from TV. Yours is like, Mum's going to kill us.
We could laugh about it now.
They're like crushing up tablets under like a red knife. Like, you all right with that, kid? Put Nickelodeon on. See in a bit. I'm sure everyone will explain it all. It's over now.
The price of petrol has risen.
You been talking about that before. You were like, the dockers have like spilled the beans. It's like they probably thought that Margaret Thatcher was just stacking them body bags, just ready for the genocide. She's coming for us, and she's coming for our job. But yeah, starting off with a lovely one here is, I think this was also from Nickelodeon, but it was from BBC television in Canada, which is a TV series called The Odyssey. Now, I first thought this was Coma. I thought it was called Coma, but it was called The Odyssey, apparently. But the reason I thought it was Coma is because it's about a boy who, like, falls into a coma after falling out of a treehouse or something. And he ends up waking up in, like, a universe where all of his friends are, like, characters from, like, a Mad Max-style universe. And they're all in, like, tribal clans, and it's kind of like a kid's Mad Max. But it's like he goes on adventures and stuff in this universe, but then it's intercut with scenes of his family just in his hospital, like at his hospital bed. Like, come on, wake up! Are you gonna wake up? You all right? Please wake up! And then he's like going on a mission. He's like, you need to like find the voice of the people from like the outer world and stuff. But it's really just like his parents in the actual world, like trying to get him to wake up from this coma. So it's like it's an adventure program, which is also a hospital drama. about a comatose child, and it doesn't make it really doesn't make much sense. But this ran on for 3 seasons of this program where it's like Mad Max, like the tribe in one bit, and then the other part is just a sad family with like a really ill child. And you're like, where's the levity in this? It's like every time he has an adventure, it just goes back to him just on a breathing machine.
That's Ryan Reynolds.
In it,
TV show with Ryan Reynolds.
It's a really it's just really weird. It's just it's like I always for years I thought it was called Coma, but I think that's like a film about organ harvesting, which is obviously not suitable for children. It's one of them things where it's really like a bit of a fun thing for kids, but in like the adventure parts, but otherwise it's a really sad hospital drama, and like there's really no in between on that. 90s TV show, which was part hospital drama, part sort of light-hearted kids adventure program, but all round it was really sad.
Google, in a nutshell, unsettling, unflinching, and harsh. Watch now.
Watch now.
Get it Grandad on DVD for his birthday.
Well, he likes the animals of Farthing Wood. Hypocrite.
I'm going to move on to probably one of the things that traumatized me the most as a child. Now, this is one of the original stories from Thomas of the Tank Engine. Now, it's obviously
Thomas the Tank. I cannot wait for this.
I'm not honestly. If you know where this is going, there'll probably be some people listening who know exactly where this is going.
I know exactly where it's going.
This is one of the original stories. Like the Thomas the Tank Engine has been going on for absolutely a million years. But one of the original series episodes, which is one of the original books, is called the Sad Story of Henry. Now, he basically gets Henry the engine, the I think he's the green one. He gets a new paint job, but he refuses to leave the tunnel because he doesn't want the rain. And like it starts to rain, and he doesn't want to mess up his paint job. So what do they decide to do? Like any logical train operator would decide to do. What do? They remove the rails and then they brick him up in a fucking wall.
What?
And let that be a lesson to the rest of you, trains.
That's literally one of the episodes of the original series. And it goes, and Henry stayed in the tunnel for the rest of his natural life. And all the other engines...
He doesn't have a natural life, he's a train.
And every time the other trains went past, they said, hello, Henry. He said, hello, Thomas. But he was stuck in the wall.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God. What the fuck is wrong with British TV?
But then it's like... But when it ends, this is the end of the episode, and it goes... like... And Henry was forever entombed in the tunnel. And even his paint started to rust. So in the end, it was ruined. Yeah, that's
wow.
Thomas the Tank Engine, the sad story of Henry, where if you don't do what the Fat Controller wants, the Fat Controller will brick you up behind a fucking wall. But yeah, moving on to something not really light-hearted, but everyone's favorite kids game show, Nightmare. Now, Nightmare had its own sort of psychological parts where it was a little bit silly. Even like some of the questions where you just go into a room and it'd be like, if you want to roll a 3, you've got to answer these riddles too. See what I did there? It wasn't 3, it was 2. But but the one thing that was terrifying, and I think everyone can agree about Nightmare, is the room the one bit that took up the most, and this terrified me as a kid. The one thing that took up the most part of players in Nightmare was the corridor of fucking blades. Now, this part, every part of Nightmare was fairly light-hearted. You know, you got a jester in a dungeon, you've got to answer a thing, and it goes, this, walk down a corridor, duck out the way, or you're cut in fucking half.
There was a real blade, so I want to see goggles, people.
all these like little kids with a notebook. You've got to roll sideways. You've got to duck. You've got to step. Oh no, he's broken in half. It's time. And then that would be it. Though that would be it.
Can you reach your feet?
Oh no, it appears your friend is now dead. Time to go home.
Oh, Nightmare. I used to love that.
Episode's nightmare ended with people cut in fucking half by the corridor of blade.
When you look at the premise of it and screenshots, you're like, oh, that'll get real old real quick. But man, it was absolutely awesome. I loved it.
So if you were one of the kids who was actually playing it in the room, if you were the one who had the helmet on, it'd just be a shit day of walking around in the dark. It's like, how did you enjoy Nightmare, love? Was it everything you expected? It goes, I was just walking around in a studio with the dark with a bag on my head.
You can imagine them like at home, their dad puts a bucket on their head to practice. Go on, son.
Show everyone what it was like.
Looking back at these things, the people that we grew up watching on TV, most of them were either, ended up being morally corrupt or just out and out child molesters. Like Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, and Gary Glitter, and even Philip Schofield was embroiled in something fairly recently. In fact, the only wholesome people from that whole period were probably the fucking Chuckle Brothers. The two people who look like you should beware if you're a child. The parents would be saying to you, if you see anyone who looks like either of the Chuckle Brothers, tell an adult straight away. Run. And they were the good ones.
A scene of a murder, and then you'll see like the Chuckle Brothers like double bike under like a canopy, just like pedal along. Somebody's written no slacking in blood.
Pedal faster, Barry.
Here's a nice little fact for you that most people don't know about the Chuckle Brothers that blew my mind, because when Barry died, he had a whole thing where obviously they came forward, but everyone thinks Chuckle Brothers is just the two of them, but the other two guys in the Chuckle Brothers series were their other brothers, and they were all part of some like vaudeville thing. So technically, when you saw the Chuckle Brothers, even when they did the live show, it was 4 people, not 2, because the other 2 were their brothers as well.
4 of them.
Here's one for your pub quiz. How many Chuckle Brothers are there? 2. It's fucking 4. You're wrong.
Yeah.
But the other 2 are dead now, so it evens out.
Something that I've just seen. I think it was online, but it was from the Daily Star. So take it with a pinch of salt. But it was an article about Paul Chuckle. And it says, Paul Chuckle haunted by brother Barry, who's still hanging around 6 years after death. Paul Chuckle says his sibling is still hanging around as a ghost. With his career spending decades on stage and starring in their hit show, he says there's still a double act with Barry still by his side, despite the obvious handicap of being dead. They book him for a one-man show, and he's like, you've got to pay Barry too. Gets 2 paychecks.
He goes to a spirit medium and he goes, I've got somebody coming through, and he says, to me? Does to me mean anything to anyone?
Oh, actually, you'll love this. One of the related articles, children's TV legend Paul Chuckle throws his hat in the ring for a role as James Bond.
Does he now?
Oh, talk about your long shots.
The way to defeat this international spy ring is by walking down a corridor with a ladder.
The only thing to be scared of in my childhood from memory was my shell suit catching fire on bonfire night.
That was a real threat.
which is instilled in us every year. If you go near fireworks or a bonfire in a shell suit, it will melt on you and kill you. And then you see someone in a shell suit, you'd be like, oh, he doesn't know.
He didn't watch Newsround.
He's going to die.
Have any childhood nightmares? Send them in. Everything from kids' TV shows to inappropriate situations with children's television presenters or even public information films.
Welcome to Needful Things.
My needful thing for this week is a shop called Needful Things, which is based on the shop in the Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
And
it's got the quotes up and everything.
It has all,
that's awesome.
Even the opening hours that are up is like by a point, the same as they are in the book. And I was like, what is this? And we were walking past, this is how closely, by the way, that Lewis pays attention to the podcast. So we were walking past and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to take pictures of this. And he was like, why? I said, well, because it says it's needful things. And he went, yeah. I was like, that's a segment on the podcast. And he went, oh, right. Yeah. But yeah, it's a charity shop. It was opened in 2022. And it's now shut down.
Oh.
But I know. But it looks so much better closed down because it's all dusty. Everything's faded in the window. And it's still got all the weird signs, but now they're all going a little bit sort of dusty and peeling off.
That's such a good idea, especially with it being a charity shop. It's funny, it looks really cool. When you look through the window closely, it's just a load of
it's just
garbage, but I guess...
Well, yeah, it's only random bric-a-brac if that's not incredibly important to you. And there was like a picture in the window of I don't know who the band was, but they kind of look like a 1960s band, like I don't know, like a Jerry and the Pacemakers or a Searchers or sort of band. And it was with signatures on, and I was like, that is exactly what would be in Needful Things in the shop. And then there's other stuff which is just crap. Like, but it was this opened as a charity shop, and it has shut down. But yeah, I walked past it and I was like, oh my God, I found it. Isn't it great? Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's a shame they can't reopen it because I'd be in there every week.
Yeah, we should buy it.
You should buy it and just and it's all the signs and everything, and even like the little opening hours are in the window, and they're the same. I tried to take a picture of that, but it was like, for some reason, they'd printed it in yellow on white, which was not a good colour choice. And it was like it's probably originally brown or something, but it's faded. But you couldn't see it, so I didn't take a picture of that. But yeah, if you're anywhere near Warrington, you fancy looking at the Needful Things shop, it's still there, and it's all dusty. And it's like,
I think I've been past it half a dozen times on the train, but it's like, no, it's not in the train. You can see it out the back of the multi-story car park by the cinema.
Yeah,
you look through across and go, does that say Needful Things?
Yeah, well, I hadn't seen it before today. When was it? Yesterday where I went there, and I was just like, how have I missed that? But I suppose
maybe it only shows up when you need it the most.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
Wow, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Try and top that, Jed.
I've got two pieces really, and then a couple of sort of random things. There is so half of the things that I find are really cool, but then a lot of them are from Blag, like Instagram adverts. So like you see something where it's like, oh, that looks really good,
yeah,
but then it turns out it's an Instagram. And you Google it and it comes up on like Trustpilot and it goes like half a star. Like I ordered 2 jumpers like 5 years ago and none of them have come. But and it goes, I ordered XXL and it came in like extra small. This is useless. What is this? A doll's clothes? But there's a jumper I found from some random shop, which is just like a bunch of eyes. Looks like the residents' like cozy wear.
I was always a victim of this as well, because I'm just like scrolling down Facebook and I'm like, oh wow, these shirts are awesome. And I'm like showing it and Kath's like, no, it's a scam.
Yeah.
I'm so old.
It's just a scam to like steal your credit card information. But there's a bunch of them, and you like scroll. Look, even the link that I saved is now 404 page not found.
You almost want to like write something and say, look, I know this is a scam, but where did you get that photo from? Because I want that top.
Yeah. Be like, hey, can I just like go? Just cut out the middleman. I'll give you like a commission. You don't need to scam me. I'll just send you a PayPal of like $5 or something.
I'll pay twice what it's worth.
I was just looking at costumes, and for some reason my Instagram like adverts was just a bunch of like wizard stuff. So I found this was a picture of like a wizard like robe with a hood, and I was like, what's supposed to be worn underneath that? And it actually does come with pictures for a wizard.
Ah.
So I was like, oh, that could be a pretty cool that could be like a pretty cool costume. But alas, it's from another scam site.
Ah.
But those are the two things that are actually quite the needful things that I've got. But I was in a bunch of sites for bad taste Halloween costumes, just seeing what is like the worst that the Halloween stores are doing these days, and my heart's desires were completely answered because it's beyond the worst things that I could have imagined, and this is not like it is in bad taste, but it's just really horrible. So I'm going to start off strong where this is like I've literally saved the links as well. So these are all from the jokers.co.uk website. In the bad taste, in the sort of, it's like their risque section. So starting off strong. Who do you want to make an impression this Halloween? Well, you can go dressed up as a human. It's literally just a human arsehole. And I've only screenshotted the front of it. It's literally just a cardboard cutout of an arse, just like an arsehole. Just like you wear it around your neck. And I was thinking, how can it get worse? And the same guy, the same model, he's dressed himself up as also a urinal. So I was going down, and I was going down the advert, and I was like, this is just really bad taste. So like some of them are just really offensive, and then I got further down, and then I saw this one, so I was like, what is it? And it's like, and this is where it gets worse. And it goes, this is just like a costume of just like what it says, one-breasted costume. And I was like, are they making fun of like people who've like had mastectomies or something? Is this going to be like, how much of a bad taste is it? So I decided to like look at the other parts of the costume to see how it's worn, to see if it was like literally that offensive, or it was taking the piss. And it isn't taking the piss out of anyone who's suffered cancer, because this costume is a couple's costume for a pair of tits, but you only wear one. But leading on from bad taste Halloween costumes, they have the knockoff section. Now, I'm going to actually share the links for this because some of the knockoffs are amazing. I wanted to get one of our dogs a Cousin It costume, and I was looking to see if they had one for dogs, because it's much easier to like buy it than actually make it yourself. And they don't have a Cousin It costume because they can't do that because they don't have the license to the Addams Family. But you can get a adult hairy relative costume.
Hairy relative.
Hairy relative.
If you're not feeling that, you can be the ball from Castaway. you can be Wilson the ball, which is just literally just a giant blow up ball with a handprint on the front. And
that's awful. That's very low effort.
And I'm going to bookend this with probably the most disturbing Halloween costume, not because it's from a horror movie, but just the execution of this costume. So this is an adult male Annabelle doll Halloween costume. The state of this costume is just horrendous. Also, just as a final sort of addition to something we were talking about last week, without sharing the links, they have Squid Game costumes, and they're called Scary Game Guard. And it's triangle. You can buy them in 3 varieties, which is triangle, square, and circle. But I can't believe this Annabelle doll. Look at the face on that. What's happening here? But yeah. If you're looking for something that will both terrify people and make you feel sad about your own choices, go to joke.co.uk for all of your Halloween needs.
My dad turned up to my Halloween party dressed as Kim Kardashian when she got robbed.
What?
You know when Kim Kardashian got robbed and tied up and they stole all her diamonds?
No.
Well, right. So this was why most people didn't understand his costume. So it was a big news story at the time. She was like she got really badly robbed at her house, and like they like tied her up and robbed everything from around her, and just left her. But my dad so he was wearing a black wig, lipstick, a white fluffy bathrobe, because that's what she was wearing, and handcuffs. And he came to my Halloween party dressed as And everyone was like, "What the hell? What are you meant to be?" And he's like, "Kim Kardashian when she got robbed."
The problem with that is once you've explained it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So this is a good one. So it's like you can get all different types. This is Terrifier 2, but it's a gift set and it's got like stickers and a mug, a jigsaw puzzle, framed pictures, cards and everything. I thought that was awesome. Fridge magnets, they do it for a lot of movies, but Terrifier 2, that's pretty special.
Oh, is that what that is? That the clown fella?
Yes. Have you not seen those movies?
Well, I've got a key ring, right, that I got from. I don't think it's the same guy, actually. I think it's something different. I got it, when we went to the horror film festival.
Oh yeah.
And like they were like, we got like a bag, didn't we, of like a mystery bag, and you open it and there's mystery stuff in. But I can't remember what this is from because it's a guy like, and I can't remember what it's from. It's something I've not seen. I thought it was from the Rob Zombie film House of a Thousand Corpses, but I don't know if it is or not. But it looked just like that you've just put up, but it's not that.
She got like a knockoff of Terrifier. It's like Scarifier with R for the clown. It's like black on white.
Yeah, that's...
Oh yeah, that's Captain Spaulding.
Yeah, he's out of the Rob Zombie ones.
Oh right, okay. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was, but then I got misled. Laura's
got a tattoo of that on her arm. Well, Sid Haig is Captain Spaulding.
I've already showed this to you, but this is a fake alive playset. We've been looking at all those like the kids' toys from the 80s and 90s where it's like aliens, movies I've never seen, and then someone's done this mock-up of alive.
Considering the size of that child just behind the plane, that playset's fucking massive.
Yeah.
That was literally his one big Christmas present.
They're all like Action Man size. Imagine having to set that up on Christmas Eve. I don't know how to explain this one, so I'll just post it. Knuckle fingers.
Hey.
Knuckle fingers. They move as well, do they? Because they look like they've got some sort of battery pack.
Yeah, they're all jointed.
Oh God, why?
Of Futurama, where it's the Finglonger. This is what it's like if I invented the Finglonger. Surprise your friends by looking like the other mother from Coraline.
That'd be good for chasing cats with. Like that.
One image of you, Kirsty, chasing cats at night.
Oh no! Today it took us so long to get. We went to see a comedian in Warrington last night. We stayed over. We're walking back up. We got the bus home. I'm walking back home, and I was like, I've got this podcast. I've got the podcast at 12:30. And as we were walking, everything we've got to stop with every single cat. Every single cat we've got to stop to say hello to the cat. We were walking up like near my dad's house, and like Lewis had just met a cat, and there was another, and then he was and he says, "Oh, that cat didn't want to talk to me," and then he's like, look at these lads, these are always up for a stroke. And I'm like, Lewis. There was 2 cats. That was 2 cats, and then there was a dog, and we do have this in-joke that Lewis is Prince of the Dogs, and they're all obsessed with him because we've had dogs before, like lying down in the street in front of cars because Lewis is there, and it's like Lewis, and they'll just like see him and
at his
like
feet are not like trying to commit suicide.
Oh, they're just like they won't.
As soon as they see Lewis, they go and lie down in front of a car.
They'll see Lewis and like they're crossing the road, and they'll just, when they see him, they go, oh no, and they'll just go, no, we need to go see Lewis now. And it's happened so many times that it's getting a bit weird now. It's happened when we were walking we were at Wig Island, which is this big park. And he's just walking. We're walking towards the trees, and then this collie just kind of looks up and goes, "Oh my God!" and just hurtles towards him. And he's like, here's my little mate. It's like, how do you know these dogs? You know all the dogs. And we keep bumping into these dogs. He knows all the dogs, and all the dogs love him. But
So what he says to you? Oh, I'm just going to have a few mates round this weekend.
Yeah, it's like
put down newspaper.
One day you'll be doing the washing and you'll find that like you'll be emptying the pocket of his childhood. You'll find out all along it's just like one pocket full of cat treats and the other full of dog treats. He's like conditioned all the neighborhood animals to be like his best mate.
It wouldn't surprise me.
What are you planning?
And let that be a lesson to the rest of you. Change.